me those documents.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to the deep
Hi,
dive.
everyone.
Today we're diving into some really heavy stuff, actually.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
The Jeju Air Flight 7C2216 crash.
At Muan International Airport.
Yeah, in South Korea.
Yeah.
December 29, 2024.
Right.
A lot of you sent in articles and reports on this. It's a tragic event, and we're going to try to understand what happened, at least what we know so far.
Absolutely.
So maybe we can start with, setting the stage. What kind of plane are we talking about here? What was the flight route?
So it was a Boeing 737-800, flight number 7C2216, coming back from Bangkok.
Yeah.
Suvarnabhumi Airport, to be precise. Took off at 2:28 a.m. local time.
Okay. And how many people on board?
175 passengers, plus the 6 crew members.
So as they're approaching Muan, did anything unusual happen?
Well, from what we're seeing in the reports, it looks like air traffic control warned the pilots about potential bird strikes.
Bird strikes.
Yeah, in the area. Not uncommon, but something to be aware of.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So then what?
Well, then things escalate. Pretty quickly, actually. At 8:47 a.m., the crew issued a distress signal.
So not long before landing.
No, not at all. And then just a few minutes later, at 9:03, they attempted an emergency landing.
Attempted. So it didn't go smoothly?
Not at all. The initial reports are pointing to a potential failure of the landing gear to deploy.
Oh, wow.
And that seems to have caused the plane to swerve off the runway during touchdown.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, the aircraft collided with a concrete barrier, and from there, well, it caught fire.
It's just heartbreaking. How many casualties?
179 fatalities, including 5 children.
Just awful. Any survivors?
There were 2, remarkably, both flight attendants, a 33-year-old man and a 25-year-old woman. Thankfully, their injuries weren't life-threatening.
So with such a heavy loss of life, the obvious question is, how could this happen?
Right, and that's what everyone's trying to figure out. The preliminary investigation seems to be really zeroing in on that bird strike we talked about.
But, bird strikes happen. They're a known risk in aviation. What makes this one potentially so different?
Yeah, that's the key question. It's worrying that they're considering it as a potential cause for the landing gear failure. Those systems are designed to be incredibly robust.
So you're saying it's unusual for a bird strike to take out the landing gear completely?
It is. And the investigators are going to be looking at everything. Damage to hydraulic lines, sensors that control the deployment, even structural damage to the gear itself. It's a deep dive.
And then there's the issue of that concrete barrier so close to the runway end.
Yeah, a lot of safety experts are questioning that. Why was it so close? International regulations usually call for significant buffer zones, runway end safety areas. Releases. Right. They're meant to give planes space to stop if something goes wrong during landing or takeoff to prevent exactly this kind of collision.
So the fact that the plane hit that barrier so quickly after leaving the runway, it suggests that Muan's safety margins might not have been adequate.
Exactly. And that's going to be a big focus of the investigation.
And speaking of the investigation, it sounds like they're facing some hurdles.
Oh, yeah. They recovered the flight data recorder, the black box, and the cockpit voice recorder, but the recording on both stopped a few minutes before the crash.
So they're missing crucial data from those final moments.
Exactly. That data is usually gold for investigators. It tells them about the systems, the crew's actions, any alarms. Without it, they have to rely more on physical evidence, witnesses, and what they can piece together from the flight history leading up to that data loss. It makes things way more complicated.
So, given the scale of this tragedy, what are we seeing from the airline and the government in terms of immediate response?
Well, typically the airline sets up support services for the families of the victims, grief counseling, logistical help, things like that.
It's the least they can do.
Absolutely. And the government usually declares a period of mourning, which South Korea has done, and launches an independent investigation, which is also happening.
And have they addressed the safety concerns with the Boeing 737-800s?
Yeah, they grounded all of them immediately for inspection. Standard procedure after an accident like this. It's a way to quickly identify and address any potential systemic issues.
Good. At least that's something. And the airline, Jeju Air, what's their response been?
Their CEO, Kim Ibe, has expressed deep condolences, of course, and pledged full cooperation with the investigation.
All right, so let's quickly sum up where we are. This Jeju Air flight crashed during landing, most likely due to landing gear failure, possibly caused by a bird strike. But there are serious questions about the runway safety infrastructure, and the investigation is hampered by the lack of data from those final moments. Both the airline and the government are taking action, but there's a long road ahead to get to the bottom of all this.
Absolutely. And it really makes you think, we have all these safety measures in place, layers upon layers, yet something like this still happens. It really begs the question, where are the vulnerabilities and what more needs to be done to ensure the safety of air travel globally? It's a question for all of us to ponder.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for listening in on our podcast. Well, those who did.
Give it some
We're getting
time.
ready to prepare for another
Bye.
recording after this. See
Bye.
you guys then.